Your cover is the single biggest factor in whether someone clicks or just scrolls right past your book on Amazon. Now, most authors never test theirs before publishing, and that's a huge mistake. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you a super simple test that's going to tell you instantly if your book cover is going to pop or flop on Amazon. So let's get right into it with a real example. Now, once you've got your book idea and you've done all of your keyword research, you should have roughly 10 keywords that you've narrowed down that you're going to enter onto the back end when you're publishing to KDP. And just as a reminder, those keyword strings on the back end, they're there to help your book get discovered on the front end in the Amazon store by customers. Once you've got those keywords, head over to Amazon and start entering each one into that search bar so you can get a good look at what your competitors' book covers look like. Now, in a previous video that I did a couple of weeks ago, I was working with a pretend example of a book that I had created called Walden, Reflections for a Deliberate Life. So this was an example prompt journal that I created specifically for that video. Now, because it's a prompt journal, some of the keywords that I came up with were reflection journal, journal for women, journal for men, mindfulness journal, self-reflection journal, prompt journal, but also keywords like slow living, intentional living, Walden, Henry David Thoreau, and inspirational gifts. So I've gone ahead and typed in my first keyword, which is reflection journal. Now these are all of my competitors. So I'm going to scroll down, just have a quick look at what other people are doing. But more importantly for this test, I'm actually going to take screenshots. So I'm going to take a couple of screenshots of this page. I'm going to scroll down a bit, take another screenshot so I can get a few more in there. And then what you want to do is this exact thing for all of your keywords. Now for my Walden journal example, my audience, I'm going to assume, knows who Henry David Thoreau is. That's why they'd be interested in this journal to begin with. They're going to be into nature. They're going to be into simplicity, mindfulness. So when I think about who my target audience is, they're probably going to be into maybe more muted or more natural colors. Now, most importantly here, I want to ask myself, how can I differentiate my cover from what I'm already seeing? So I kind of like the idea of maybe something watercolor, and I'm also thinking about natural scenery. The whole gist of Henry David Thoreau's book, Walden, was that he goes out into the wilderness and he lives there for an extended period of time. So that idea of natural scenery just makes sense for this context of the book. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and design my book cover, and I've already done that because, again, this is an example that I used in a previous video, and this is a cover that I came up with. So again, I went for that watercolor aesthetic. I've got really natural, greens and blues. It's a little bit more muted. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those screenshots that I got earlier when I was entering in my different keywords into Amazon. Now you just want to bring that into whichever design program you're using. I've used Canva in this instance. And I've got 3 different sets of screenshots here for 3 separate keywords. So the first keyword I think was reflection journal, then I had intentional living, and I think I just had Henry David Thoreau as a keyword in there as well. So you can see there's some different aesthetics going on between all of them. Now here's kind of where the magic happens. You just want to upload a screenshot of your own cover, which I have already done. And you're just going to drop it in. Now you're just going to place it over top of one of the existing books. The idea here is you just want to see your book in context with all of its competitors. Because remember, when someone is typing in one of those keywords, all of your competitors' books are going to come up alongside yours, and yours has to stand out against theirs. So doing this, dropping it into context in this way, is going to instantly tell you if your book cover is working or not. Now, another great thing you can do here, super simple, it's just called the squint test. So look at your screen, squint your eyes, and see which book is standing out first. Is it yours? Okay, now when I am looking at this particular screenshot, the ones that are probably sticking out the most are the top right and the one underneath it, just because they're more vibrant in color. Also that positive thinking one on the left. But another thing to keep in mind is, it's not just about which cover is standing out right away. You're also thinking about differentiation. So most of these covers, they're using more vibrant or pastel hues. So mine does look different. It's watercolor, so that is a differentiator. My title is standing out nicely, so I do like that. And it does have a fairly different aesthetic than all the other books on the page. The one thing I'd say that it does not have going for it right now is it's really not popping off the page. You know, it wouldn't be the first book that my eye naturally gets drawn to. Let's take a look at it in comparison to some of its other competitors. So this is on the next page here. So totally different books. You know, the first book that really stands out to me is this yellow one. Obviously, yellow does tend to stand out. Their title isn't doing a very good job here. Their title's kind of getting lost. But again, this book does have a very different aesthetic than all of the other books, so it does stand out in that way. Then let's go to the last one, which was our Henry David Thoreau keyword. This one, I feel like it kind of blends in a little bit more. As expected, most of the books on this page, because they are talking about Walden, most of them do go for that similar sort of natural, more muted colors, natural earth tones, that sort of a thing. So I would say it's not particularly standing out as well on this page, but that's okay. Now, one thing that I will say, again, what I've noticed in all three of these keywords is that while it seems well differentiated, there aren't any other ones that look like it in terms of the aesthetic of that watercolor. It's not quite popping out as much as I would want. So if I just wanted to do a little one of those tweaks, I could head back over to this cover and I could make a couple of adjustments. And that's exactly what I've done here. So I'm just gonna take you over to this second example here. So what I did is I just clicked on that background, I clicked on edit. Now, if you're in Photoshop, you're gonna have way more options here, but a lot of the people that watch my channel use Canva, so that's what I wanna show here. I've just opened this up. You can go down to filters. You can try out any of these. You can go to adjust here. You can play around with your brightness, your contrast, saturation. So for this example, I just used one of these filters. I also didn't like how there's just some like white showing around the edge here. I don't like having white edges on covers on Amazon because it just gets kind of lost in the background. So I went into their elements. I found a nice watercolor splash, which I added there and made an adjustment. So this is what it looks like after the adjustments. You can just kind of see in the first one, it's a little bit more muted. In this one, it's a little bit more vibrant. I also increased the size of the title just ever so slightly. And so now when we go back into our screenshots, I can bring that new cover in and I can just see how that one fares, right? So it's just a little bit more punchy. It's just subtle. It doesn't make a huge difference, but that's just a way that you can kind of play around. And you can see already with that more saturated blue, it is standing out a little bit more. So now if this was a book that I was actually going to publish, because remember, this was just an example from a previous video, I would probably realistically have another crack at this cover because I'm not really satisfied that it's standing out in the way that I would want it to. I do like the watercolor aesthetic, but I'd probably want to make it a little bit more vibrant. Now, this is something that you can also do with books that you've already published and you know it's a good book, but you realized since publishing that maybe your cover isn't working as hard as it could or should. Try doing this test. It's going to reveal a lot about your cover and you're going to be able to see right away what's working. Is your title legible? Are the colors standing out? How does it look in comparison with all of your competitors' books? Now, if you want to turn your books into a passive income stream and you want to create books just like this, prompt journals, daily planners, workbooks, really simple books, check out my free guide, 3 steps to publishing your first low content book in less than a day. I've linked to that down in the description below. If you like this video and found it helpful, please subscribe, hit the like button. And if you're interested in learning about book cover design mistakes that you should avoid, check out this video next. Thank you so much. See you next week.